Welcome back, my friends, to another episode of TFT Hyperroll with Artark. Okay, you know the drill, right? Liking, commenting, subscribing, how much it all helps the YouTube algorithm, helps the channel, helps it grow, does stuff like that. And so we all do it because we're awesomely super cool people who like to do nice things. Okay, done. Most of the videos I'm putting out right now are more in-depth versions of the builds that I went over in my big wrap-up video for the start of Season 8. This is not one of those videos. This is one of those crazy things that happened along the way. So since I started with a double dose of Kaisa, I figured I was going to be going Brawler Recons until I saw that. Double Trouble. I've never done it. In all the times there have been augments in TFT and all the seasons that Double Trouble has existed, I have never used it, attempted it until now because they gave me 2 Kaisas. I mean, they just gave me the chance to play 2 of my second favorite champion in this season of TFT. Sorry, my first favorite is Bel'Veth, but Kaisa's a very close second. And my early goal here is to build some Kaisa items. Normally I go Spear of Sojin. I decided to try out blue buff on her this time. At this point I was really just having fun with this match more than I was ever thinking it would be made into a video. And the big change with blue buff this season is that it no longer automatically gives bonus mana after a cast. It only gives the bonus mana if you get a takedown within 3 seconds. So you'll see it did there because of the takedown. And don't ask me how Kaisa ends up surviving this, but she does and actually wins it. Now, I've talked about this a bunch of times. Don't rush to make your mech. That team went down from 5 to 3, and it allows my team to just end up focusing on their one-star super mecha prime champion and take them down. Now, I am not sure where this build is going yet. If I knew for sure I was going to go for the 4 recons, I would grab the rod and make a Rabadon's death cap. But since I'm thinking maybe I'm going to do something else and not necessarily go for recons, the jeweled gauntlet is better because it'll allow the ability to critically strike, and it's going to be very strong with Double Trouble. And although I know I've done it, I'm not a huge fan of the Rage Blade on Kaisa because she is getting attack speed from her ult. I don't know if that's what really caused this or just the power of Double Trouble, but we did end up winning. So I decided to head a little bit more into Star Guardian, then into Brawler Recon at the start of this, since it will help make the blue buff more effective. Then I'm offered Into the Night, which is going to give me a Vayne and an Edge of Night, which I can use to speed up other champions' attacks, because if they have an Edge of Night, they get a 50% attack speed buff. Now, I do not want to break up my Double Trouble at this time, so I am locking and waiting and hoping I'm going to be able to get an additional Kaisa in the next round so that when I take her to 2 stars, I'll have another one to put out. I'm also a little annoyed with myself because I gave up on my Brawler Recon strategy to go for Star Guardian to play into the blue buff more, and then I got Vayne, so now I'm up to 3 recons, so I really wish I had kept going forward with that. It's time for our next item selection, and I did manage to get the additional Kaisa, so I can go and put her out, so I'll have 2 out. With Into the Night, I decide to go ahead and put an Edge of Night on her, so she's automatically getting 50% attack speed. My plan now is to get to the 3-star Kaisa. As I mentioned before, I've found it relatively easy to get the 3-star recons, as people just don't seem to focus on this build the way I think they should be focusing, and I'm probably cursing myself by pointing that out. We've gone ahead and locked for our second 2-star Kaisa and put a static Shiv on Vayne, since we are doing a lot of AP damage from both sides with the 2 Kaisas who are getting boosted thanks to the Double Trouble, and you can see the impact. It's time for our final augment, and it's prismatic level. Nothing here I love, so I go ahead and roll, and I am torn between Recon Crown and New Recruit. The Recon Crown would give us an immediate fourth that we have on the board, so we don't have to keep searching for Ezreal, but New Recruit, really, it's hard to pass up. At this point, I also want to tank up our front line a little bit more, so that means grabbing the Chain Vest to create a Titan's Resolve on Rammus. We're going to go ahead and just grab anyone, which will be Misfortune in this case, to put out there just to fill in the team. Rammus gets the Titan's Resolve and the Dragon's Claw, so that he will be nice and tanky. And it's against teams like this that Recon becomes really, really helpful, because Jax is going to try to get in, and our team just keeps dashing away over and over again, making it almost impossible for him to close in and get the kill. And it's time to face the obligatory threat team, which is always a slightly risky build to go into, because you never know if you're going to be able to get enough of them together and get them strong enough to finish it off. Unfortunately for this person, their ASOL was just not strong enough. And while we had originally grabbed Misfortune as just an additional filler, we now got her up to 2 stars, so she is officially part of the team now. We also got an Ezreal, so we have our 4 Recons. For the item here, I'm a little torn between whether to get something like Rabadon's for the second Kai'Sa, or just make Vayne stronger. Obviously, I decide to go with making Vayne a little bit stronger, since we have so much AP damage coming from Kai'Sa. A little extra attack damage coming from Vayne won't hurt. Then we can tank our front line a little bit more by adding in the Randian Sanctum. And it's kind of gotten to the point where this build just feels wrong. Kai'Sa is going through people like a hot knife through butter, and when Misfortune ults, well, it just finishes them off. Now, I don't think I have to add the disclaimer of don't force something like this, but when you see a prismatic augment and an opportunity, you probably want to try to go for it, even if it's just to try to have some fun with it, because you can get some crazy powerful builds that will lead you straight into the top 4. It's time for our final 2 items, and I never miss an opportunity to make Rammus even tankier, so Warmogs will be perfect for him. Then we can open our anvil, because it's safe to do so now, grab a Chalice of Power, and we can make our gold Kai'Sa just a little bit stronger. I also grabbed a Syndra to bring out Star Guardian, which means I'm going to throw some 5 costs on the bench, because Syndra is going to pick people off the bench and fling them into the battlefield, so I want those to be strong champions. Our first build'em is a super mecha team with 3-star gold Jax, and normally this team would clean house with that Jax and the augments that they have. They should be winning, but yeah, this just wasn't fair, because there's just too much power from the double Kai'Sa, and you can see from the damage charts, it's just brutal. It's a 1v1, and the team we are taking on actually took down the 8-brawler Jax team, and they are running build different, so it's someone else who got a prismatic augment and just made the best of it, tried something out, and it really worked for them. Look how strong their team is, and it's only because our Kai'Sa is so ridiculously strong that we are able to just squeak out that victory for a GG. Hope you enjoyed this video and seeing a crazy double trouble build. Be back to regular builds that you can use tomorrow. And as always, have an absolutely awesome day.